Hey guys, Robbie here from CrossFit South Bend, here to talk to you today about the 2016 Whole 90 Challenge. So we're going to talk a bit about what the Whole 90 Challenge is, what you're going to get out of it, what sort of things are included in it, and what it is and how much it costs. So let's get started. So first of all, what is the Whole 90 Challenge? Well, it kind of says it in the name. So 90 refers to the fact that this will go for a total of 90 days. Whole refers to the fact that we're going to challenge you guys to eat real whole food, stuff that your grandparents and great-grandparents would have recognized as food for the vast majority of the 90 days. And challenge, we want you guys to give this a shot. Every January, new stuff comes around. You see detoxes and cleanses and all this stuff. And people around that time, after Christmas and New Year's, feel like it's time for them to, challenge themselves a little bit and maybe make themselves a bit healthier. So we want to challenge you guys to give this a shot and see if it actually helps you achieve your health and wellness goals this year. And we think, in fact, we're very confident that it will. We've been running this for a number of years now, and we've had people who have worked out here for a couple years. They've seen some decent results, but as soon as they change their nutrition, it makes a huge difference to all the other goals that they're trying to achieve. So the number one question we get asked when we announce the Whole 90 Challenge is, why is it 90 days? Why isn't it just 7 days or 14 days or 21 or just the month of January or something like that? Why so long? Well, it's intentionally that long for a reason. The reason is that we want to end the cycle of dieting every year. Dieting is something you do on a short-term basis for specifically, usually for the purpose of weight loss. And as we'll talk about a little bit later on, weight loss and health are not the same thing. And in fact, weight loss can sometimes be unhealthy. A, if you don't have weight to lose, or B, if you are just kind of undernourishing yourself and not getting the necessary nutrients. And there are other reasons why weight loss can potentially, in certain circumstances, be unhealthy. So we think weight loss is something that you should strive for and want to achieve, but it should be the after effect of getting healthy. We want to be healthy first, and then weight loss comes as a result, rather than doing this constant cycle of dieting where you're focused just on weight loss. Anyone can lose 20 to 30 pounds in the space of a month or two, if they're eating 500 calories a day, but that's not going to nourish you, that's going to leave you craving a lot, and it's not going to be sustainable long term. So crash dieting, where every year January comes around and people are like, oh, this will be the year, and then maybe they make it a couple weeks in, maybe they even make it to the end of January, and then they go right back to eating what they used to be eating. So we think that's not necessarily the right approach. We think a better approach is to teach you how to eat healthy for the rest of your life. It's the give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, teach a man to fish, and he'll be able to eat for the rest of his life. So that's kind of the idea here. We want to give you the tools necessary for you to do this long term. So what are you going to get from the Whole 90? So you're going to be getting things that a lot of people, have been struggling with if they haven't changed their nutrition for the better. Things like more energy. There's so many people I work with who say, I get that 2 o'clock slump in the afternoon and I just can't get past it. Or it's just everything I can do in the morning to get out of bed, even though they wake up at, let's say a reasonable hour and they actually have a decent amount of sleep. Why is it, that they need energy at that point? Well, if you have poor nutrition, that's going to affect your energy levels in that situation. Fewer cravings. One of the biggest things that people say to me all the time is, man, I've just got this gigantic sweet tooth and I just don't know how to stop the cravings. Well, part of the reason anyone has a sweet tooth, and just by the way, we're all predisposed to like sweet things. If you feed the so-called sugar dragon with sugar, it's going to want more sugar. So when people say they have a sweet tooth, really what they're saying is, I eat sugar on a fairly frequent basis and it's causing me to have cravings. So part of what we're going to do is try to minimize, and then for at least a period of time eliminate sugar consumption, so that you guys can have fewer cravings and help you eat healthier. You guys are going to get weight loss out of this, and like we said before, weight loss is a good, noble goal, but we want to do it in a healthy way. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a second. But we want to, in this case, what differentiates us is not just weight loss, but weight loss without calorie counting. we fundamentally believe at the end of the day that food quality is much more important than food quantity. Now, that's not to say that food quantity doesn't matter. You can't eat 1,000 bananas and say, oh, well, it's real whole food. I'm doing fine. But at the same time, there's been kind of this persistent myth, which I'll be doing a video on later on, that, it's just calories in, calories out. Calories in, calories out. That's the instant equation for weight loss and for health. And the truth is, it's just not. Food quality and how the food you're eating affects your hormone levels, your hunger hormones, insulin, and ghrelin and things like that, the way it affects your sex hormones, testosterone and estrogen, the way it affects a number of different things like cortisol, your master stress hormone, and melatonin, which affects your ability to sleep. All of those things are tremendously important in you achieving the weight loss that you want. It's not just calories in and calories out. I think everyone can agree that 100 calories of carrots is going to be very different from a nutrient density perspective and from a health perspective than 100 calories of soda or some processed food or something like that. So weight loss without calorie counting, without point counting, without carb counting. We may, towards the end of the Whole90, for certain people, tinker with macronutrient ratios and calorie counting and things like that. But by and large, we've seen people achieve fantastic results just by eating the right foods, not worrying about measuring, not worrying about weighing. They're not eating gigantic amounts to begin with because these foods don't, real whole food doesn't make you want to eat gigantic amounts to begin with. But in general, people are able to achieve the results that way. You guys are going to get a support team dedicated to helping you achieve your goals. Again, this will be something I'll do a video on later, but I have so many people say to me all the time, I know what to eat, I just can't bring myself to do it. So part of the problem there is that people think that the knowledge of what you're supposed to eat is sufficient to help you eat that way, and nothing could be further from the truth. You can know all day long what you're supposed to eat and yet still fail to do it because, well, for a lot of reasons, because eating is a very emotional and psychologically involved thing. It's not purely rational. We all don't have infinite quantities of willpower. It's something that we have to build up. So we're going to have a support team here in the form of coaches and other people doing the Whole90 with you to help you, establish the habit of eating healthy and, making it a lifelong thing. It's not something you can just, do in a second and say, oh, I've gone cold turkey. I used to eat bad food and now I eat healthy food. No, it's a habit you have to build up over time. So we're going to help you build that habit. And as I said before, we're going to have a health first focus. This is not just another diet. Diets, again, tend to focus on weight loss exclusively at the expense of health. When you have a health first focus, you get adequate energy and more energy. You get fewer cravings. You get adequate nutrition. You're able to recover properly from your workouts. You're able to have healthy hormone levels. And it leads to the appropriate weight. Notice how I didn't say weight loss. I said the appropriate weight. For a lot of people, the appropriate weight can be them losing weight. But there are a number of people who under-eat. I've had people come to see me that say, oh, well, I'm eating 750 to 1,000 calories a day. They're undernourishing themselves and they're working out. So sometimes the appropriate weight can mean weight gain. So it's not always weight loss. Health almost inevitably leads to the appropriate weight. Weight loss does not always lead to health. There are plenty of people out there, I'm sure you guys have heard the term before, skinny fat, right? I have a lot of women who I've worked with before who say to me, oh, my husband, he can just eat anything he wants and he's just thin as a rail, thin as a beanpole. That might be the case, but that person's almost certainly skinny fat in the sense that they, if I were to do a blood test on them to see what their blood glucose levels are like, to see what their cholesterol levels are like, to see what their sex hormone levels are like, their detoxification capacity, all these different things would almost certainly be impaired. So weight loss, being skinny, do not necessarily equal health. They're important components of health, but they're not enough. So we want to have a health first focus. Okay, so that's what you're going to get from the Whole90. Now let's talk a little bit about what's included if I sign up. How are we going to get you to achieve these results? Well, one of the main things we're going to do is a weekly food journal review via email with your coach. So each of you guys is going to send in a weekly food journal review, a weekly food journal to your coach where you explain exactly what you ate that week to your coach, and then your coach will send you feedback. Just the very act of writing a food journal is incredibly illuminating. A lot of people kid themselves into thinking, oh, well, I really don't eat that bad, or I'm fine. And I used to do this too. Like before I did my first food journal, I said, oh, it's really not that bad. And then I wrote it, and I was like, wow, okay, I gotta take a step back here and really change some things. So just that act is really powerful. But then even on top of that, we're gonna have coaches giving you guys constant feedback so that you're ready and able to, make healthy eating a habit and to improve week to week. We're going to do weights, measurements, and pictures each month to kind of keep you accountable. As I've said many times before, what the scale says is not the most important thing to us, but it is something that we want to keep in mind. We take measurements and pictures because we think these things can tell us some things that the scale does not tell us. A lot of people tie their self-worth to the scale, even though they might have healthy waist to hip ratio measurements. So if you happen to be someone who has a waist measurement that's bigger than your hips, that's almost inevitably unhealthy. So we want to get both men and women to the point where your waist ratio is smaller than, your waist measurement is smaller than your hip measurements. So that's why we do waist to hip measurements. And we want to do pictures. It's not a terribly frequent occurrence, but we've had people who have started the Whole90 and then they finish it, and maybe they've lost 5 to 10 pounds over the course of 90 days. Usually it's a decent amount more than that. But you can tell from their pictures that it's a gigantic difference. What used to be lots of belly fat hiding, some abs, now at the exact same weight, or weight that's maybe 5 or 10 pounds less, is showing a very, very different body type because they build muscle and so on and so forth. So measurements and pictures can tell us some things that the scale doesn't always tell us. You're going to get the Whole9 Nutrition Guide. We are partners here with the folks over at Whole9 Life. We think they're fantastic. They have fantastic resources. The Whole90 is a play off Whole9 Life, and we're partners here with them, and we're going to give you guys lots of resources in the form of recipes, shopping guides, all that stuff to help you succeed. Everyone will have their own coach to answer questions anytime they have it throughout the Whole90 challenge. This will also be the coach that does your weekly food journal review and your weights, measurements, and pictures. I'll be doing weekly talks here at the gym with in-person Q&A. So if people want to come and get their questions answered in person about recipes or health concerns, or how do I incorporate healthy fat into my diet or something like that, I'm always here to help and answer those. I'll be doing the talks on things like how to save money at the grocery store, and how to achieve heart health and minimize cholesterol levels, or bad cholesterol levels, how to get a healthy digestive system, and how to be able to eat healthy for the rest of your life, but still be able to indulge in treats every once in a while. And then there's going to be an exclusive Facebook group. So a Facebook group just for you guys to kind of share recipes, share ideas, motivate each other, support each other. Again, support is a really big piece of this puzzle. Okay, so that's kind of the main details about the Whole90 challenge. Now let's talk about when is it and how much does it cost. So when, it's going to be January 15th, 2016 to April 15th, 2016. Why do we start it a little bit later rather than January 1? First, we have a lot of students here at CrossFit South Bend, and they usually don't come back till around the second week of January. We want to be able to include them. The second reason is that the second month of the Whole90, which will, the second month will be from February 15th to March 15th, is where we're going to ask you guys to eat real whole food without any exceptions for 30 days. So go completely clean. If we had done it any earlier, that would have run you into the Super Bowl or Valentine's Day, which would have been a little bit difficult. So we're going to make that second month of the Whole90, February 15th to March 15th, where you guys will eat completely clean for 30 days, real whole food, and that's part of the reason why we scheduled it that way. How much? So how much is the Whole90 going to cost? So we've got kind of two time frames for you guys to sign up. We've got the early bird special. People want to sign up early, get a little bit of a discount. That's going to be until December 15th. And if you are a CrossFit South Bend member, it's going to be $75 a month to sign up. If you are someone who's not a CrossFit South Bend member, but you'd still like to participate, we'd be happy to have you. It's going to be $125 a month for non-CrossFit South Bend members. If you guys decide to sign up after December 15th, we'll have that next sign-up period from December 15th to January 15th. From there, if you're a CrossFit South Bend member and you'd like to sign up, it's going to be $85 a month. And if you are a non-CrossFit South Bend member, it's going to be $135 a month for each month of the 3 months of the Whole 90 Challenge. All right, guys, so hopefully now you've got a sense of what's going on here with the Whole 90 Challenge. You have a sense of what you're going to achieve, why we do it as 90 days as opposed to 14 days or 21 days, how we're going to get you those results, and when it is and how much it's going to cost. We really hope that you guys decide to join us this year for the Whole 90 Challenge. It's sure to be our biggest and best one yet. And if you guys have any questions, be sure to email us at nutrition@crossfitsouthbend.com. All right, guys, Robbie here from CrossFit South Bend. We'll see you guys next time.